Today I'm working on my 1986 Honda XL600R, and I want to do a video showing you the basics on how to replace the clutch in it. Pretty easy job and should carry over to most of the Honda RFVC radial 4-valve chamber engines. And we're also going to find out if David Bogart was right when he said that my Kickstarter pawl alignment was off, causing this slight clicking noise that I had for maybe 30 seconds on an extreme cold start. Here, give it a listen. Now this noise right here, you hear that? That's just the Kickstarter gear in there making a little noise. As far as parts, we're going to be using the Honda factory friction plates, which you can see are made in the Philippines. There's the part number for you. And your first step is going to be soaking those in motor oil. Make sure not to use full synthetic. I always recommend using conventional motorcycle oil. Let those soak overnight. Also using some EBC heavy duty clutch springs, which are 15% stiffer than factory. While I'm only replacing the friction discs, it's not a bad idea to get a complete kit that comes with the steel discs as well, but I'm not doing that in this video. I will show you those though and how to check them for trueness. The first step is cleaning off your motorcycle, and then remove the 17mm drain bolt and drain out the oil. I like to put magnets on the back of my drain plugs, and that causes any metal particles to get stuck to the drain plug, and then leave it out until you're ready to fill the bike and stick it over the keyhole, so that way it's impossible for you to potentially start the bike without oil in it. You're now going to remove the clutch cover, which is pretty straightforward. Again, a good idea to clean off all the dirt before taking it off. So start by removing the 12mm banjo on this oil line, and probably the one up top, since it looks like you'll have to slide that oil hose line up a little bit to clearance it. And then two 14mm on the right-hand foot peg. Remove your brake lever. Rear brake lever, which mine is a little bit different since I converted this over to XR650L suspension. A 12mm pinch bolt on the kicker, and the cover has a bunch of 5mm Allens around the entire thing. The cover has 3 different length bolts, so make sure to take note where they come from, and then those 2 nuts, and they each have a washer, so make sure if any of them get stuck on the case that you don't go losing those. And on the oil line banjo bolt, you'll have 2 copper washers. You might be able to just bend this line out of your way, but I'm going to remove the 8mm bolt from this lower bracket, and then I sprayed some lube on here, so we'll be able to just slide the whole line up out of our way. Take a rubber or plastic mallet and start hitting the cover all the way around to loosen it up. Mine is loose on this side but hanging up on the back. I believe there's a dowel pin right here, so I'm going to come from the other side and hit the back of this cover. The gasket ripped into pieces, but I planned on using the Right Stuff sealant on this anyway. My dowel sleeves stayed in the cover, but make sure you don't lose those, and you can see why the cover was hard to get off, because this one was corroded inside of the case. Loosen the 10mm clutch spring bolts a little bit at a time, going in a crisscross pattern. At first glance, the clutch hub and basket are not looking too healthy. See these deep grooves? Well, on the basket, that's where the friction plate rides, and then the pressure plate, steel pressure plate, rides on the inside. I think I might even have a spare unit, because what happens is when you're riding, that clutch plate gets stuck in those little grooves. Well, you're not going to have smooth clutch operation, and you'll get a lot of chatter and bite. Pretty normal for this to happen over time, especially on an off-road motorcycle, but people snapping the clutch off and ripping wheelies, that really wears these clutch components out too. Let's see what I have in this spare parts bin. Oh, look at that. I do actually have a brand new clutch cover gasket. Cool. Look at this. I got a complete used clutch hub. Oh, whole clutch assembly. So hopefully that's going to be in nicer shape. It looks to be about the same. Definitely some deep grooves on there, so I'm not going to use this one. I was hoping maybe it was in much better condition. A few other mentions. Make sure your oil pump gear doesn't mistakenly fall off and hit the ground. And then this is the oil pump outlet. And it looks like I'm actually missing the O-ring that's supposed to be sitting on this collar. And that O-ring will go inside of the case right here, which is just gone. So I don't know if I lost that. And another thing to check in your cover is, so that oil goes in here and then goes up to the filter. And this little sealing oil seal right here, very important. That seals against your crankshaft and is able to send oil into the crank bearings. So if this thing gets torn or broken, then again, you're gonna get oil bleeding by and not making it to where it's supposed to go. Now let's check on that Kickstarter alignment that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. So we can see the alignment is correct right here. You have a notch and a notch, or punch and a punch. Looks like I gotta remove the clutch hub and basket to get that gear off. So you bend out your lock washer. The lock washer should be replaced, but you can reuse it if you really had to. 27mm on that, I'll zip off with an impact, or if you don't have air tools, you can use a tool like this. It's a clutch hub holding tool, basically a big pair of vice grips. Clamp it in there. Just got to be careful. You could cause damage to the aluminum with this if you're not careful. The washer beneath clearly says which way goes out, so make sure you adhere to that. And the lock washer that should be replaced. Watch that this bushing doesn't slide off and hit the ground. It's coming off. Put that back inside the clutch. Now we can take that kicker gear off, and this is the idler gear above it. And let's see what the alignment looks like in here. Well, look at that. He was right. The alignment is off by, it looks like, one spline. See the punch right here and the punch right there? I can't believe that. I actually rebuilt this engine back when I was in high school. I've had this bike since I was like 17 years old. So let's pop this back, rotate it one, and look at that. Now the punch marks are lined up. Sorry about the camera focus. Good stuff. That's great to see. I always thought it was normal because the bike just always did that since I had it. So I probably never even took this apart when I did the engine rebuild, and I just put it back in the way it was. But sure enough, he was right. So that's pretty awesome. I stand corrected. Doesn't look like it needs any other servicing. So with that lined up, I'll put this back together. Slide this ring over top into the groove and put your lock on. Another item that you should check is the pickup screen for the oil. 8mm on that. Looks nice and clean. Let's just put that right back in. This is basically to prevent anything big from entering into the oil pump and causing major damage. And now for my least favorite part of working on engines, pulling off the old gasket and scraping that. You could use a razor blade, a gasket scraper. Sometimes you get lucky and they come right off. Other times you gotta really work at them. Usually the way it goes, it will come off on the long stretches, but around a bolt where it's been super compressed, it's very stubborn. I'm going to try some of this paint stripper because they used to sell a gasket spray that had methylene chloride in it, and this is the good stuff. You can't get it off the shelf anymore. All the paint stripper now is non-methylene chloride. So this is the stuff that'll kill you, but it will melt. It'll melt the skin off you, no problem. Let's do a little comparison too. This is the good stuff I'll put on this spare clutch cover that I have, and then we'll put some of the non-methylene chloride right here. And you can see, wow, I mean, instantly it's already peeling that paint, the methylene chloride. 2 minutes later, it looks like the methylene chloride has already done its job. If I wipe that off, oh my, look at that, it took that Honda paint off. The non-methylene chloride, so far, nothing, not eating the paint at all. So we'll give that a little bit longer. Half hour later, it looks like the non-methyl did a pretty decent job too. Definitely not as good, or certainly not as quick as the methylene chloride, but it did take the paint off. Let's see how the paint stripper fared on these stubborn gaskets. Oh my, look at that. That stuff works incredible. I wonder if the non-methylene works as good on gaskets, but just like butter. Found that oil pump O-ring. I dropped a piece of gasket back here, and a nice unit tucked down in the cover. It should fit snug over the oil tube. I'm now going to adjust the wear on these clutch basket fingers, which I'm actually doing a whole separate video, so I'll plug that in the corner here. But you can hear the mountains in here. Listen. So idea is to get rid of all that. I'm going to be using a file, and in a nutshell, what I will do, hopefully you can see me in there, you take a marker and coat these fingers like so, and then you take your file and you want to make sure you're not running it this way or that way. You don't want to put any chamfer on these edges, so you got to run it straight and true across it. I'm going to start in the middle so I can kind of check on the other side and make sure where I am, that I'm not using this as a guide to make sure I'm not venturing off. But you go back and forth until you can see this now. We want to take an even amount off of each finger and basically just knock those mountains off. But if you want more details on this job, again, check out that other video. Reinstalling the Kickstarter gear is a breeze, and you'll want to pay attention to this bracket down here and this little tab. So what you do is just go ahead and insert it in, and then hook your spring into the case on the back. Then you're going to slide the kicker on to the splines a little bit and start rotating it counterclockwise. You might have to pull it out just a little bit, but keep rotating it until you feel it click and you're past that little bracket in the back, and then you just push it in. Boom. It's located properly now. These two punch marks should still be aligned and located at 12 o'clock. And you slide your kicker back on. Well, these gears should freewheel unless you rotate this. Now they should lock together. Unless you spin them the other way, they should ratchet like so. Looks good. I've got the basket and hub all cleaned up, ready to put these together. I'm going to be reusing the lock washer. The hub nut gets torqued to 43 foot-pounds. Can leave it in gear to help hold the hub, and also use this Motion Pro tool. Bend this lock washer tab over flat on one of the nut surfaces. As I stated before, replacing the steel plates is never a bad idea, but especially if you have a clutch that is hanging up or clunks when you go into gear. That would usually mean that one of these plates, one or more, could be warped. And what you do is take a feeler gauge, set them on a piece of glass, clean piece of glass, and you go all the way around with like just holding it down on here and try to find if it's warped. You can also just rock it back and forth on the glass. And if you notice it's like a waffle, then you waffle that all or bellied, then you definitely want to replace them. Once I determine they're all flat, I like to take a piece of emery cloth, put it over the glass, make sure there's no grime or dirt under it. And I mean, some guys could frown on this, but I've been doing it since I was a kid. I like to just rotate it around a few times. Just enough to break the glaze on it, and that way the new clutch will break in good. You can see that's nice and flat and true. If you did that and you had a bunch of areas where it wasn't contact, and then you would definitely want to just replace these. And certainly don't use anything too aggressive. This is a very fine emery cloth, so we're not taking any material off. Once you get the glaze broken and they look all good, bring them to a parts cleaner and clean all those abrasives off. And then the fun part. Hey, did I say these were made out of steel earlier? These are actually made out of aluminum with friction material bonded to them, and these plates are steel. So you start with the friction plate and a steel plate. And finally, your last friction plate. I made sure to rub oil all over the steel plates too. Now drop your pressure plate on, and some vehicles you will have to align the pressure plate to the basket, but not on this one. Ready for those new springs. Compared to the old ones, you can see they're a little bit taller since these are the heavy duty springs and they're brand new. I'll drop all those in. And your bolt and washer. And then using the crisscross pattern, tighten all those down evenly in like, I'd say 3 stages. Torque to 108 inch-pounds. Go pull your clutch lever and make sure it operates properly. Feels good. These heavy duty springs are extra tight in the beginning, but I've found that once they break in, they are not so tight versus the factory ones. Once they break in, and they can cause a slipping clutch. Clutch cover's cleaned up, ready to go. I popped out this old seal and replaced it like I was saying earlier in the video. Normally it's better to have the dowel sleeves in the case for putting the gasket on, but those are sitting in the cover pretty good. So I just put a few dabs of silicone on the back of this gasket. Make sure it's properly lined up over all these holes before you go jamming the cover on. Otherwise the dowels are going to cut the gasket. You slide the cover on evenly and you'll notice it stop. That's because you have to grab this decompression lever, pull this down. You'll hear that click into place. Otherwise, if you force it, you'll break that. And then push her all the way home. And secure the rest of what you have taken off before. 108 inch-pounds on these two. You could do a crisscross pattern if you want. It's not too important on this in my opinion. Put the drain plug back in and fill the oil. I prefer using conventional to break in the clutch, as I said before, but most places you read say full synthetic is fine as long as it's a motorcycle oil, because this doesn't have the additives that a lot of automotive oils have, and those will cause the clutch plates to slip over time. Moment of truth. Let's see if this Kickstarter gear still makes any noise at all. My garage is probably around 35 degrees right now, so it is pretty cold in here. Yeah, a little bit. Hear that? Yep, same thing. And that goes away after, oh, she's cold, but it's actually 1 in the morning right now, so I'm not going to keep running it. I'll run this tomorrow, recheck the oil and all that good stuff. But that is how you replace the clutch in a 1983 to 1987 XL600R, but that process is pretty similar for many other bikes. Next day, and same thing when I started it, it made that very faint clicking noise and then goes away after 30 seconds. So no big deal there. Let me know if your bike does that. I'd be curious to know. It is a good idea to crack this oil line loose. Since we've had the cover off and messed with the oil line and everything, you crack this loose and just check for oil flow. So right now I don't see any yet. Boom, there we go. We can see oil seeping out of there. So we know we're getting good flow to the head. As far as braking goes, there's nothing really required. I just recommend taking it easy on the clutch for the first at least 10 miles or so. Cycle this a few times, rev the engine, and then hit her in gear. Hopefully it goes in smooth. And then same thing, just kind of rub that clutch. And you should have nice smooth engagement without any chatter or problems. And then just go ride it and have fun. It's a good idea to do some downshifting as well. So you work that clutch the opposite way.